Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video. Now today we talk about week 5 matches of the Overwatch League only for the West region, and then after we'll talk about basically a bit of an update on how the East region is going with their spring stage knockout bracket. So let's first get started with the week 5 matches, and here they are. First start up with the LA Gladiators winning against the London Spitfire, Kevs to gain MVP. I was not surprised about this at all, not even one tiny bit. Kind of expected. The Spitfire, they've been struggling this whole season. Yeah, that's all I really have to say. It's just expected. That's all. That's all. I can't really say anything else. It was very, very expected. Just like the next one, the Atlanta Reign 3-0 in the Vegas Eternal. Once again, very, very expected. I'm pretty sure this also locked the Atlanta Reign as well into the Midseason Madness, so they don't have to go through the bracket, which is a good sign for them. This a bit of a surprise one. The New York Excelsior 3-0 in the Washington Justice. Now, obviously, I think the Excelsior have improved a lot during this season. Obviously, they've been struggling a bit, but they've actually improved quite a lot. I think having Fitz as well on the support lineup actually wasn't that bad, actually. Even though he mainly did play the Brigitte most of the time, which is absolutely fair enough because those like DPS players, they used to play Brigitte when Goat was a thing. Ana was pretty interesting to see, but I mean, I thought he was pretty good on the Ana. Callaghan MVP. This was just a bit of a surprise for me. I mean, I thought that the Justice was maybe an A-tier team because I mean, the roster as a whole is like really good, especially with Alpha in the lineup. And then Wax, I kind of thought that maybe like a C tier. I think definitely better than the Eternal and the Valiant. But I thought it was gonna be maybe like C tier, probably like probably on the cusp of just making it to this qualifiers, and they did. But just like on the cusp, probably around like it was like the 10th region, probably that's probably where I thought they were gonna be in this qualifiers. But no, they came. Actually, I'll get to that later. But they're obviously in the Midseason Madness qualifiers. That's all said. But anyway, so they're looking really, really good. Might be maybe a bit of an upset, maybe potential to go to Korea, but we'll see. And this was a banging match here. The Houston Outlaws just edging out a win against the Florida Mayhem, who look really good now. But the Outlaws are kind of like the only team that could maybe challenge the Reign, if not maybe the Uprising, and I'm not really too sure maybe any other teams that could maybe challenge the Atlanta Reign, but Outlaws, they've been looking good as well. The full Korean roster with Shu in the lineup, who got MVP, Fearless, Happy, Pelican. That's a really, really good roster of Violet as well. So I think Outlaws, they've been looking good. The Mayhem as well, they've been also looking pretty good as well, so I can't wait to see how they go on the Midseason Madness. And I'm pretty sure this match or the next match lock the Outlaws as well into the Midseason Madness tournament, so they also don't have to go through the qualifiers, just like the Atlanta Reign. Let's then move over to now the next day, and this day was obviously my birthday, May 27th, so that was obviously a good sign. This was, I mean, actually, comparing to the Toronto Fire's performance this whole season, it kind of makes sense. The London Spitfire winning against the Toronto Fire, 3-1 victory for them. No surprise. Like compared, because the Toronto Fire, they've been just going up and down. I think it definitely doesn't help that Sir Majid, he can't really compete. I'm not really too sure what the reason is, maybe because of visa issues or something. I have no idea. But Sir Majid, I don't think has played at all in this qualifiers. So it was, I mean, I thought, I mean, they definitely during the Pro-Am tournament, when I'm pretty sure when they actually did have Sir Measured in, they looked really, really good. But now they're just looking, not great. Especially that half of the Toronto Defiant roster is in the Overwatch World Cup team for America. So, bit of a worry there. But, might be alright, hopefully, maybe for the... Maybe? I'm not too sure. I'm not really too confident on the Toronto Defiant, however. The London Spitfire, they've just been all over the place. Like, obviously, they got to win against the Toronto Defiant. I'm pretty sure also another team as well, which I'll have a look at right now. Actually, the Vegas Eternal. That one makes sense. But they went against the Toronto Defiant, which is interesting. Like, it definitely surprised me. But at the same time, of how of how the Toronto Fire have performed against like mid-level teams, it's not good at all. So yeah, I'm not really surprised out there. But Sparker, he got MVP, so not too bad. Atlanta Reign, they continue their dominance as they win against the Boston Uprising, 3-1 victory for the Reign. Stock again MVP. Once again, not really surprised. I'm also not surprised as well that the Boston Uprising at least took a map off the Reign. Obviously, the Uprising, they're basically full of veterans and champions, and even like possible champions as well. But the Atlanta Reign, they're just too strong. Their team is stacked. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm not surprised that the Uprising took a map off the Reign. I think I'll be more surprised if the Reign 3-0'd the Uprising. But yeah, it's just kind of what I expected. I'll be honest. I kind of expected the Uprising to at least take a map off the Atlanta Reign. So that makes sense. San Francisco Shock. What happened to you guys? I had high hopes for the Shock this season. Now I don't. I don't have any hope now for the Shock. To be fair, the Florida Mayhem, they look pretty good. Someone gained MVP, obviously. But I thought it was going to be a lot closer game. I thought it was going to be at least 3-1 or even going to map 5. I wasn't expecting the Shock to get absolutely rolled in Oasis, Blizzard World, and Rialto. No good look. But yeah, I'm not a fan of this. I don't know what happened to the Shock. I don't know. No idea. But, I mean, this team also won against the Dallas Fuel in the, I don't know, it was like a grand final rematch, basically, which was kind of useless. But it's just, yeah, that's what to say. I'm cringing a bit. I'm cringing a bit for the Shock. Mayhem, they're doing a phenomenal job. Obviously, they are our Pro Am winners, so that makes sense. But for the Shock, yikes. Houston Outlaws, they continue to dominate as they won against Vancouver Titans, who looked really good this year. I was expecting them to obviously be midfield, just like the NYXL. I thought they were going to be better than the NYXL. I wasn't expecting them to be this well in this qualifiers. I thought they were probably going to be around, I can't remember where they finished, I'll be honest. So they're probably around the region where I expect them to be at. But still, I think Vancouver Titans, they're doing really, really well. Pelican getting MVP, obviously, for the Outlaws, but it was actually a pretty close game. Iliga's not that close. Esperanza wasn't that close, but Kingsborough and Rialto, pretty close. Well, maybe not Rialto, but Kingsborough, pretty close. So, I think the Titans, they did a pretty good job, but Outlaws are just too strong for them. Let's now move over now to the final day. The Toronto Defiant 3-0 win against Vegas Eternal. I was really hoping that the Toronto Defiant will get an easy win against Vegas Eternal, but Chimbali Monastery. What happened there? How the hell did the Vegas Eternal get 4 checkpoints? How? What happened? Whatever. At least it's not like the London Spitfire level, so at least that's good enough. But still, it's pretty bad. It's still pretty bad. Hydra an MVP. At least a win's a win, but I'm still a bit worried for the Toronto Defiant. The Washington Justice, they bounce back after their pretty surprising loss against the NYXL by 3-0 in the LA Gladiators in very dominant fashion. Flora gained MVP. This is just pure dominance from the Washington Justice. The Shock, they continue to struggle as they lose to the Boston Uprising, a 3-1 victory for the Uprising. Burdering gained MVP, which is pretty cool. Havana was pretty close. Hollywood was pretty close. How do you say? Calicio was pretty close. Napoli, not that close. But, yeah, the Uprising, they continue their good season. And Vancouver Titans, they win against the NYXL. Not really surprised about this, I'll be honest. 3-1 victory for the Titans. Spy again MVP. Hollywood went to the freaking distance, 6-4. Obviously for the side of the Titans. Shambhala Monastery wasn't that close. Arctic Peninsula wasn't that close. And New Queen Street was relatively close. So that's week 5 matches all done. Let's now have a look at the standings for the West, as obviously we're going now into the Midseason Madness bracket. The Atlanta Reign and the Houston Outlaws, both of them will go to Korea and basically with 2 free spots for them. And then we got the Florida Mayhem, the Florida Mayhem, the Boston Uprising, the Washington Justice, and the LA Gladiators in 3rd to 6th. I'm pretty sure they would be in the upper bracket final, maybe. or upper bracket semifinals. I'm not too sure. And then we had the Vancouver Titans, the Toronto Defiant, the New York Excelsior, and the San Francisco Shock just making it into the bracket. The London Spitfire in 11th place, the last team to actually have some wins on their belt. And then we have the Los Angeles Valiant and the Vegas Eternal, who are probably going to be the wooden spoons this season, because I have more faith on the Valiant than the Vegas Eternal, because at least the Valiant can actually be pretty competitive, and the Vegas Eternal, no, they're just going to just troll the whole time. So with the West standings all done, and obviously the East standings, they obviously finished week 3. Let's have a look at the bracket for East and the West. So let's have a look at the East standings. Well, I should say the East bracket first. So the Hangzhou Spark and the Seoul Inferno, both of them are currently now in the grand final. The Guangzhou Charge and Dreamers, both of them having contention to be in the grand final. So that's what bracket 1. And for bracket 2, the Dallas Fuel and O2 Blast, both of them have the chance to be in the grand final against Seoul Inferno to qualify for the Midseason Madness. And let's now have a look at the West bracket. So this is what it looks like. So the upper bracket semifinals will be the Florida Mayhem versus the Los Angeles Gladiators, and the Boston Uprising versus the Washington Justice. And then in the lower bracket round 1, we have the Vancouver Titans versus the San Francisco Shock, and the Toronto Defiant versus the New York Excelsior. That's going to be some pretty good games, so I'm really excited about that. Just obviously we'll have to wait and see of how all those teams go. And obviously, 2 teams from the West and the East will qualify for the Midseason Madness over at Korea will be at the Korea International Expedition Center at Goyang. The Atlantic Reign and the Houston Outlaws, both of them have already locked themselves into the Midseason Madness. So that's really about it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys next time in the next one. Goodbye.